Acids, bases, and salts are some of the most important substances in chemistry. Acids are substances that release hydrogen ions when dissolved in water. Bases are substances that release hydroxide ions, and salts are the compounds that usually form when an acid and a base react together. These simple definitions help us understand why lemon juice is sour, why soap feels slippery, and why we use table salt in food. Acids have certain characteristic properties. They usually taste sour, they turn blue litmus paper red, and they can react with metals such as zinc or magnesium to produce hydrogen gas. Acids also react with substances like baking soda, releasing carbon dioxide gas, which is why you see fizzing when vinegar is added to it. Bases, on the other hand, feel soapy to the touch, turn red litmus paper blue, and are often caustic, meaning they can burn or corrode materials. Both acids and bases conduct electricity in water because they form charged particles, and when they meet, they neutralize each other. The hydrogen ion from the acid combines with the hydroxide ion from the base to form water, and the remaining parts join to form a salt. Since it is unsafe to taste or touch acids and bases, chemists use special substances called indicators to identify them. One of the simplest indicators is litmus, which turns red in acidic solutions and blue in basic ones. Phenolphthalein is another indicator, and it is colorless in acidic or neutral solutions, but turns a clear pink color in basic solutions. Methyl orange is red in strongly acidic conditions, orange in weak acids, and yellow when the solution is neutral or basic. A universal indicator is a mixture of several dyes that gives a complete rainbow of colors across the pH scale. Red for strong acids, orange or yellow for weak acids, green for neutral solutions, blue for weak bases, and violet for strong bases. The pH scale is a number line that ranges from 0 to 14 and shows how acidic or basic a solution is. A pH of 7 represents neutral, like pure water. Values less than 7 mean the solution is acidic, and values greater than 7 mean it is basic. Each step on the scale is 10 times stronger than the one next to it, so a solution of pH 3 is 10 times more acidic than a solution of pH 4 and 100 times more acidic than pH 5. This scale has many applications in daily life. Our stomach juice has a pH between 1 and 3, which helps digest proteins. Human blood has a pH of about 7.4, and even a small change can be dangerous. Soil pH affects how plants absorb nutrients, and pH control is also important in swimming pools, aquariums, and food preservation. It is also important to understand the difference between strong and weak acids and bases. A strong acid, such as hydrochloric acid, nitric acid, or sulfuric acid, ionizes almost completely in water and releases nearly all of its hydrogen ions. A weak acid, such as acetic acid in vinegar or carbonic acid in soft drinks, only ionizes partially and releases only some hydrogen ions. Similarly, a strong base such as sodium hydroxide or potassium hydroxide produces hydroxide ions fully in solution, while a weak base such as ammonia only produces them partly. Strong acids and bases usually react more vigorously and conduct electricity better than weak ones at the same concentration. When an acid and a base meet, they undergo a neutralization reaction. In this process, hydrogen ions from the acid combine with hydroxide ions from the base to form water, and the leftover ions form a salt. This reaction also releases heat, which is why the container often feels warm. Neutralization is used in many areas of daily life. For example, antacid tablets neutralize excess acid in the stomach, while lime is added to acidic soil to improve crop growth. Salts can be prepared in several ways, depending on the solubility of the substances involved. In the neutralization method, an acid reacts with an insoluble base, oxide, or carbonate. The base is added in excess until no more dissolves, the solution is filtered, and then water is evaporated to obtain pure crystals. For example, copper oxide reacts with sulfuric acid to produce blue copper sulfate crystals. In the precipitation method, two soluble salts are mixed, and they exchange ions to form an insoluble salt, which appears as a precipitate. An example is mixing barium chloride solution with sodium sulfate solution to form a white precipitate of barium sulfate. The third method is titration, which is used when both the acid and base are soluble. Here, an indicator is used to find the exact point where neutralization occurs. Once the correct amounts are measured, the reaction is repeated without indicator, and the solution is evaporated to give pure salt crystals. A common example is the preparation of sodium chloride from sodium hydroxide and hydrochloric acid. To predict whether a salt is soluble or insoluble, chemists use simple solubility rules. All salts of sodium, potassium, and ammonium are soluble, and so are all nitrates and acetates. Most chlorides, bromides, and iodides are soluble, except those of silver, lead, and mercury. Most sulfates are also soluble, but those of barium, lead, and strontium are not, and calcium sulfate is only slightly soluble. On the other hand, most carbonates, phosphates, sulfides, and hydroxides are insoluble, except when combined with sodium, potassium, or ammonium. Hydroxides of calcium, strontium, and barium are only slightly soluble. Interestingly, some salts change the pH of water after dissolving, because their ions react with water in a process called hydrolysis. Salts formed from a strong acid and a strong base, such as sodium chloride, remain neutral in water. Salts formed from a strong acid and a weak base, such as ammonium chloride, make the solution acidic because the ammonium ion releases hydrogen ions. Salts from a weak acid and a strong base, such as sodium acetate, make the solution basic because the acetate ion produces hydroxide ions. If a salt is formed from both a weak acid and a weak base, the pH depends on which one is stronger. For example, washing soda, which is sodium carbonate, makes water basic, while aluminium chloride makes water acidic. In summary, acids release hydrogen ions, bases release hydroxide ions, and salts form when they neutralize each other. We identify them using indicators, measure their strength using the pH scale, and prepare salts through methods like neutralization, precipitation, and titration. Their solubility and hydrolysis help explain why different salts behave differently in water. Together, these ideas not only explain laboratory experiments, but also connect to real-life processes such as digestion, agriculture, medicine, and environmental science. Like, share and subscribe if you found it helpful.